What is going on, everyone? This is Riley with the Riley Reformed channel, and today I want to make a follow-up conversation to the first ever video that I made on this channel, which is how I got scammed on Facebook Marketplace. So I know what you're thinking, and that is, how could you possibly be so dumb to get scammed? And the answer is that I am clearly not the only one. If you're not aware, back in January of 2021, I was unfortunately scammed on Facebook Marketplace. I was buying a camera for my up and coming YouTube channel, Riley Reform, which is this channel obviously, and I was looking for a decent deal on the Sony ZV-1, which is the camera that I'm using right now. I thought that I found a great deal, and the seller convinced me to buy the product from them, going outside of the scope of Facebook Marketplace and using Venmo instead. I had purchased the product from them, but unfortunately that product never came, and I was scammed out of $350. First, I did want to express that I know this was my fault, and I acknowledge that this should have never have happened, and it should never have happened to me. I let it happen to me. I messed up, and I know this, but that is the reason that I want to make a video on the topic to start off my channel, because I feel that if it could happen to me, it truly could happen to anybody using Facebook and using their platform. My goal ultimately making the video was that if one person could avoid getting scammed because I took the effort and the time to explain what happened, to me it will all be worth it in the end. And I do believe I was able to help a few people based off of the numerous comments I've received on that video thus far, so I wanted to thank people for watching that first. If anything, I know that I was able to facilitate and enable an area for a discussion, which ultimately is what YouTube is all about in the end. So the update to this story, and the reason I am making this video, however, is that they introduced a new feature to Venmo that could have saved me from getting scammed in the first place, and that is Venmo purchase protection on transactions. This feature that Venmo introduced was added, at least to my account, about a month or so after I was scammed, which definitely was a little bit unfortunate. The funny thing is that the email Venmo sent me announcing this purchase protection feature specifically mentioned purchasing camera equipment, so I felt like they were almost making fun of me in a certain way, like, hey, you know how you were scammed a few weeks ago while you were buying a piece of camera equipment? Well, here is a feature to address it right after it happens, so nobody will get scammed on our platform trying to buy camera equipment ever again. That is how the situation played out for me. So basically, if you're not aware what Venmo purchase protection is, Venmo purchase protection is something that you should use anytime you interact with somebody on Venmo that you do not deal with in real life, or that you do not know in real life. If you're dealing with friends, obviously you can leave it off, but if you're interacting with somebody that you've never met before or never engaged with in transaction before of a good or service, make sure that you turn this feature on, and let me explain why you should turn this on. So what does Venmo purchase protection do? Well, it's essentially in the name of this service. It protects buyers and sellers that are buying/selling a good or service from taking advantage of one another and getting scammed. Essentially, if a transaction does not go as expected for both buyers or sellers, they are protected if a transaction is tagged accordingly. If you tag a transaction as a good or service, so something not between friends, and there is an issue, you will actually be able to go directly through Venmo, and hopefully you will be able to get your money back without any sort of issue. There are a few examples of transactions listed on Venmo's website specifically, where you will be able to get your money back, so I'm going to go over those really quick. So the first example they list is if you bought a book but received a DVD. So again, this is buying something that you did not receive. The other thing is if you put a deposit down for a photography session, but the photographer doesn't show up. So basically, if the seller does not put up their end of the deal. The other item is if you purchased an item described as authentic but received a knockoff. So either the seller could potentially be lying, so you'll be able to get your money back that way. Another thing is if you bought an item with major missing parts that the seller didn't report. So if the seller chooses to leave something out of the description. Another is if you purchased 3 items but only received 2, obviously you didn't get what you pay for, so you should get your money back in all situations. And then finally, the last thing is if the item was damaged during shipping. So something that's not capable of being fixed is something that happened indirectly, you can still get your money back that way as well. So now that this feature is available, I know that this service would have solved my problem with my Facebook Marketplace transaction. However, like I mentioned earlier, it was not available on my personal Venmo account at the time I engaged with the seller. So I know you may also be asking what the cost of the service is, because it is not free. And this is it. So the seller, so the person that offers the good or the service, will pay a small fee of 1.9% of the transaction plus a standard flat fee of 10 cents. So for example, if the payment is $100, the seller would receive $98 and then $2 will be used to pay the fee. So the $1.90 is the percentage of the transaction, so the 1.9%, and then the 10 cents is the flat fee that's addressed to all transactions. In my opinion, for the peace of mind that you'll receive just from turning on a toggle, it is worth the small price. After all, I lost over $350 from my scamming transaction, so just over 1.9% of the purchase price sounds like a pretty good deal to me after it's all said and done. So now pretty quick, I wanted to jump onto Venmo on my iPhone and show you how to turn on and off purchase protection. Okay, so here I have my phone open and I am going to type in Venmo. So I'm going to Venmo right now, and then you can see at the bottom there is a pay or request feature. I'm going to hit pay or request, and then this is where you could type in somebody's name. So I'm just going to click on one of my friends that's listed here. And then you want to type in the amount of money. So for this example, I'm just going to type in $1. And then what is it for? I'm just going to type in video. Obviously you don't have to do this. It just depends on what your transaction is about, and then you hit pay. So this turn on and off for purchases at the bottom is turning on or off purchase protection. It doesn't really outline it very well. It doesn't explain what purchase protection is unless you click these links at the bottom, which I imagine some people probably don't do. However, you could turn this on, and then that is where it will take out the fee for the seller, and also so that would be like the 1.9% of the transaction and then the 10 cents total. So it's just as simple as flipping on a toggle. So when I say toggle, that's what I mean. Just on, off, on, off, blah, blah. So that was just a quick overview of how to enable and disable this feature on an iPhone. I assume it's also very similar for other devices you may use Venmo on. Now that Venmo has added this feature, I am comfortable in saying that you can go outside of the scope of Facebook Marketplace for these types of transactions, as long as you are comfortable in doing so, because if a problem does occur, you will still have to go through Venmo and Venmo customer support to get your money back, which if you ever had to engage with customer service before, you know it's not always 100% perfect. So the transaction fees are reasonable when given the context. You are protected from scammers. If I could go back in time, obviously I would turn this feature on in a heartbeat, and then I would have never have lost all that money. So overall, I am very, very glad that this feature now exists, and I hope I was able to help even one person just making this video, because I know it will all be worth it if it prevents one potential scammer from succeeding in the future. So if you have not already, I would definitely go check out my other video where I discuss my Facebook Marketplace scamming experience. The video is linked above in the cards. I know the video quality, lighting, audio, and everything are not as good as this video because it was my first video overall, but I do hope that it is still enjoyable and watchable. So speaking of enjoyed, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel for the YouTube algorithm, and also sharing it with anybody you think might need this, and letting me know your experiences using Venmo down below in the comments. If you have any questions or anything, please also let me know in the comments. I'm happy to go through and respond to any questions that somebody may have. So that has been it for this video. I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope your day is as pleasant as you are.